This episode of the Edify Studios podcast is brought to you by Paragon.
As a single-source supplier, Paragon offers turnkey structural glass systems. Our expertise in glass fin systems, tension structures, glass canopies, roofs and skylights, glass flooring, staircase systems, point-supported handrail systems have afforded Paragon the opportunity to work with the world's premier architects and glazing professionals. With decades of experience on projects completed worldwide, Paragon embraces the most demanding challenges. Paragon structural glass systems are easily configured to meet your aesthetic goal. We are innovators that design glazing systems to perform in the most demanding environments. Utilizing state-of-the-art engineering systems and the latest glass and steel processing machinery, our materials are fabricated with precision and adhere to strict quality control requirements. Our extensive portfolio spans the globe. We have furnished structural glass systems for retail, hospitality, government, institutional, healthcare, and residential projects. With a focus on transparency, safety, and innovation, our success is in the result of providing top quality, design flexibility, and outstanding service at competitive pricing.
To learn more, visit www.glassengineer.com. That's www.glassengineer.com.
Welcome to the Edify Studios podcast, discussing the shift of architectural concepts into actual solutions, disrupting the current status quo, and having a blast the whole time. Here are your hosts, Brad Glauser and Brad Walker.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Edify Studios podcast.
Live at the AIA.
Live at AIA 2019.
AIA
we are having a good time here with a lot of the...
Incredible time.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It really, really has. I'm very excited. We've actually connected with a architect out of La Mesa, this mysterious land of La Mesa, California.
Central Valley, as I'm told.
Southern
No.
I'm kidding. Just a geography joke.
Michele Hottel joins us here on the Edify Studios podcast. Welcome, Michele. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Very well. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks.
So this is a crazy story. So from my perspective, so I'm starting to kind of follow a lot of the people in the AIA Con 19 hashtag, kind of see what's happening, and I really gravitated to your Instagram account. And you guys can follow her at I want to make sure I get this right.
Why don't you say it?
Michele Grace Hottel.
Michele
is my
Grace
Instagram
Hottel.
account. Yeah. The blog is I've never met a woman architect before.
Okay.
But
I love that.
That
right?
line alone.
That's exactly
is
what
so
that's what
engaging.
got me. Like that's what it was
So
like.
engaging.
Wait a minute. I got to click the link in the bio.
Yeah.
Click the link in the bio. No, it was great.
And he did.
And I did.
And he
I did, and I shared it, and it's wonderful. And I actually asked her to be on the show with us today, so I wanted to actually bring her in and just spend a few minutes. And man, she said yes.
Wow. Yeah, we weren't even we're like,
Nah.
not gonna happen. And then she's here. She's like, hey, somebody said that I needed to be here.
And I'm like,
We
oh,
said
that was
yes.
me.
We
Yeah,
demand it.
That was me. So, Michele, why don't you introduce us to yourself and just kind of give a little origin story and like why architecture? As I get tangled up in these cords. Sorry. Anyway.
So I've always been interested in drawing and painting and the creative fields.
Okay.
And then in 8th grade, I had to, for a health class, I had to research careers. And so one of the careers that I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't think that I'd be able to make that much money at it. So another career was
Right.
architecture. And
Architecture is the artistry that you can make money at. It
Yes.
fools people because a lot of people. I'm not an artist. I'm an architect. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
you draw.
yes,
Please,
yes.
go ahead.
So, and then I also put down drafter because I'm not very good at math. So I wasn't sure whether I would be able to do the math. And in fact, I wasn't able to do the math, but I was still able to do all of the other classes. And I officially do not have my degree in architecture because I was not able to pass college algebra. So I'm still trying to do that. And it's not something I'm very proud of. But
No, but at the same
It's
time,
very honest, actually.
Yeah.
I like
it's very
it.
honest, and at the same time, it's something that I have to believe in some way. Maybe it's not algebra specifically, but it's something that plagues probably a lot of people in getting things done, not just in architecture, but in a lot of ways. And it's a real reality that
Yeah.
It is.
having that pinch point of I just can't quite get this or I can't quite get that.
Mhm.
I'll share since we're sharing. I love watches.
Yes.
I don't have a battery in it
Oh.
because I can't read time.
Really?
It's just on a regular clock, right?
Like when I look at
Oh
a
my
watch,
gosh. Uh-huh.
my brain goes, blah,
Uh-huh.
and I can eventually get there if I really take some time. But by that time, I know what time it is, right?
Well,
I can find other ways. But I struggle so dramatically with, and it's such a simple thing, right? Everybody goes, that's not a real thing. It is a real
Well,
thing.
actually, I don't think, I have 3 kids, and I don't think that they really learn how to use a regular timepiece.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
no.
it's just all,
right. It's all digital.
it's all digital.
It's all
That's what I got right here. I mean, it's
Yeah.
11:58. There it is. There you
Yeah.
go. Bam.
Yeah. But they are very
So-
precise with the time. I mean, I have one of my kids, if you say it's 12, it's 12 o'clock. Well, it's actually 11:58.
It's not quite 12.
It's not quite 12.
It's not
Yeah.
quite 12.
It's just this side of 12. Mom.
So what got you into architecture besides 8th grade? I can't do math.
Okay. So
and artists is not easy to get paid
And
to
artists-
do.
Because I
Not
think
yet.
I was at the same
Yes.
boat as you. I don't think I leaned towards architecture when I was 8th grade. I just realized it's like, algebra.
This
Uh,
math boat is
nope.
no bueno
Not
for
working.
me.
So no, go
No.
ahead. I want to kind of fuel this
So
a little
we
bit.
moved to California. I went 2 years to a community college because we weren't residents, and it was an impacted program at Cal Poly. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, which is the Cal Poly that's actually in an urban metropolis,
Okay.
as opposed to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Though you'll talk to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo people, and they say that they're at the real Cal Poly,
The
Yes.
actual.
the actual
Yeah,
Cal
I've heard
Poly.
that.
I hope we get a
Yes.
couple comments. If you're actually, watching this on YouTube or on Instagram or something like that.
I'd like to start a feud in the comments.
Yeah, why don't you actually comment
Between
on this right here? If this is
Those
actually
two
really
areas is San Luis Obispo.
San Luis Obispo.
Is that the, is
yes.
that the real one or
Yes.
not?
Yes.
I like it.
I say it is. Not.
a thing. There you go. Anyway,
There will be a ton of comments.
I can't wait. I can't wait
Excited.
for him.
A ton. So then I went to Cal Poly Pomona, and then I started working for an architect actually when I was still in community college. So that was, I was like 19 years old. So I went and worked for an architect. So
Cool.
that kind of gave me. I realized like what the reality of architecture was going to be. That I was going to, I could
Project
quite
management,
possibly
time
yes,
management,
sitting at a desk for hours
10,
and hours,
12
and
hours. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I got out of school. I started working for, an architecture firm in Santa Monica, and then did a couple projects on my own. Like kind of, the economy had slowed down, so I moved.
So
back
residential
home
or
and-
commercial?
primarily custom residential.
Okay.
Though I did do for that architect. I was also doing. Well, it was 1988, so
Just last
there was, Yeah, there was
Yes.
and I try not to laugh because there's been other podcasts where I've like started laughing. It's not, and it's
Oh, keep it up.
nervous.
This
It's
is-
nervous laughter about this.
I do the
about-
same thing. Don't worry about it.
about this
There you
about
go.
this subject because it is a serious subject. I'm not laughing about.
No.
this subject.
I get
Absolutely.
you.
So,
I get it. I get it.
So there was an AIDS epidemic.
That's very true.
The woman that I was working for was doing the Metropolitan Community Church, and we were doing an AIDS memorial wall. And then next door to the Metropolitan Community Church in Culver City, California, there was a home for caring for babies with AIDS. And then another home for caring for babies with AIDS that was next door to that. So I was involved in those projects. And then we were
Wow.
also doing a lot of affordable housing projects for the Community Corporation of Santa Monica when the Community Corporation was like first starting out.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, I did high-end custom residential for a couple other projects, for a couple other firms. And I worked for a structural engineer, Gordon Polon, who's who's in...
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, so I kind of got some structural engineering background. So I was doing drawings for a lot of the cutting edge architects that were in the Los Angeles area.
You're right.
So,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's seriously impressive. And then fast forward into today, in starting this blog, I'd be really interested to kind of hear more about it and like what motivated you to start it and then come up with a title. I'm kind of curious about it, to tell you the
Okay.
truth. Yeah.
Okay. So I started my practice in 1994 because I had a child and I didn't know, I wanted a flexible schedule
Sure.
and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. So and then I started the blog. I think I started it in 2012, but I never wrote anything in it. Like I just started it and I
You just
never wrote
created
anything.
it and
You got
left it
it.
there.
created
You put it
it.
in the world,
I put it in
and then
the
you
world.
said, "Be with you in a minute."
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
And of course-
2019 now.
Yeah.
2012
Yeah,
when it
and
started.
that first thing that just says it, like I'm starting a blog about, well, about the life of a woman, mom, architect
Sure.
architect, yeah,
Sure.
and I never, and that post is like 1,800 hits or something. It
Well,
doesn't really
I
say
actually-
anything.
that's-
Yeah,
But I read that post actually.
You did?
I read it. So I went actually back
Okay.
into the blog and it caught my eye, obviously. And I was just kind of and so there's a Facebook group that's attached to it as well. So Moms in Architecture. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
in architecture, design, and construction. Yeah.
Did you know this?
I did not know this.
So
This is
there's-
fascinating.
It's not attached to it, but it's a separate
It's a
Facebook.
So
sub-
there's a
Yeah.
separate
Okay.
Facebook group. It's
Yeah.
Mothers in Architecture and Design and Construction.
Yes.
And and they just kind of share as far
Oh,
as
wow.
like what the
Yeah.
reality is to be a mother in architecture.
Yeah.
I
And we
found-
have had men try to join it, but we kind of said that we didn't because we're talking about personal things.
No, I like that actually.
Personal woman things a lot. of
They should be on the
Well-
fringe just learning.
Well,
Yes.
I know that we won't be able to share this podcast inside the group, but please
yeah, but by all means.
thank
but,
you for allowing us to. Hopefully, you can share it within it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thought that there was almost a sweet comedic element to having a blank blog that was started by a mother and architect, because when the heck do you have time to blog?
Exactly.
Right? There's a comedic reality
so
of
true.
like those are 2 full-time jobs
That is so true.
that demand
I know.
everything of you, because architecture demands so
Those are
much.
my kids.
So
Those are your
much.
kids.
Oh, look at them. What a handsome group. One of them looks like he wants to be an architect. But that's another fancy word for animator.
I love it.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's Kelly, John, and Griffin outside.
Speaking of mothers in
taking
architecture,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wasn't that apropos? I loved it.
That was apropos.
I loved it. That's great.
Ah,
But no, seriously, like who would, I mean, in reality, those are 2 very full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it would be hard to, I understand the valiant, let's go, let's start the blog and I typed one out and then like, ugh, when am I going to get back to this?
Yes,
Like, that's a
yes,
reality.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened was I started following Life of an Architect, Bob Borson.
Yeah.
I started following his blog, and I made a few comments about women in architecture on it. And then they also had the hashtag Architalks series, but there weren't any women that were really blogging on there. So I kind of made a comment on there about, oh, where are the women architects, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I had posted a link to the Equity by Design and the missing 32% one, which I guess when you post a link, it automatically like sends it directly to Bob. And then he sent an email and then he said, well, why don't you blog for us then? And I'm like, oh, okay. And I went back and
Interesting.
actually,
That's a great invitation,
So
actually.
great.
yeah. And it's actually,
So
the mistakes. It's under my mistakes blog that like says like mistakes that I did. And then I post like what the email was, that my response to him. It's like, well, I have to go pick up my daughter in Spain, so maybe I'll have time to do it
Yeah, that's
after
awesome.
after I come back.
Sure. Seems reasonable.
So that's when I started blogging, with the hashtag Architalks. And now I'm reviewing a lot of the different construction shows, trade shows, and then also putting interviews with different architects that I know or don't know. Or I just meet like through Twitter or whatever, then
Or
I'm
Instagram,
like asking,
case in
or
point.
Instagram. Yes,
Or Instagram.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or Instagram.
It's
they're
the
posting
power
on
of
my
social
Instagram.
media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bother the right person long enough, they show up.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it actually caused me to pause when I actually saw the entries and saw the blog and saw the different things you do. But it's just as you just kind of post in a natural format. You talk in a natural format. Like it's not this procured content. It actually has a very real life world to it. It caused me to think about my experience with my family. One of the things
Yeah.
that we talk about all the time, back and forth,
Mhm.
is how our families actually affect our working days.
Yeah.
You know
so
what
your
I mean?
life work balance.
And how our work affects
Yeah.
our family. Right?
Yes.
There's-
It's a big, I mean, obviously it's a huge topic in our home and it's also a huge topic in our company too. It's just, we want to make sure that the reality of bringing, I think, the humanity to this industry is real. And so I
Mhm.
really appreciated how just how plain and simple it was.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, also, I mean, I think when we talk about women in architecture, or, mothers in architecture, and they're kind of saying, oh, well, these women, they want, they want to be able to like telecommute, and they want to be, and it's like, well, I don't think it's just women.
No, I want to telecommute. I've been
Yeah,
telecommute.
no. That's actually it's statistically proven that it's actually only women.
Statistically proven.
Yeah,
at statistic.com. That's what it says.
Most humans probably.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because I recently worked for the past 7 years telecommuting. So and I was a huge shift for me, but the reality of like it's actually possible. People get it done, but I thrive in that atmosphere. I really do.
Yeah.
He's built a system around him. Myself, I can't. I have to be at a place, and I have to go to that place, and it has to be this structured element. Because for me in my life, I would just Netflix and chill all day, or I'd get caught in a cycle of something. I just know that I would. Could I do it? Yes. I have to work from home occasionally, and you get it done. But for me, I have to go to an office where at least there are some humans somewhere, and there's some nesting I can do.
Oh yeah,
there as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, I know one of the architects that I know that's pretty successful in Santa Monica. He was saying the same thing. Like, I have to go to an office because when I was working out of the house, I'd be like, oh, what? I think I'll just wash some dishes, or I'll put in a load of laundry, or
10 hours later, he's still doing nothing, right? Like, you can get
it.
sucked down the rabbit hole very quickly. So okay, so that's obviously not a truth about. It's not just these women that are trying to get their telecommuting.
Yes, it's everybody.
Yes.
Yes. And all different types of families and couples.
What's some of the upcoming stuff that you're going to be speaking about on Architalks and some of the other blogs that you're thinking about procuring? I'm kind of interested in some of those topics. What some of the things that their audience can actually look forward to?
Well, we take turns with different blog posts, and Bob turned it over to another person in the group. And before, I used to suggest things, and Bob would just tell me, like, I don't think people can write a whole blog on that. So
well,
none
Bob,
of my topics, none of my topics were ever chosen.
Sure. Yeah.
Same with me.
You don't.
Same with me.
No, I like it.
Does that happen with you too?
Well, I try to approve my stuff with Brad Walker here. You know what I mean?
50% of the time, it's just a bad idea.
And 50% of the time, it's a great idea. It's a 50% partnership.
No. But that brings up another piece of AIA, which is where we're at right now.
Yes.
Which is hyper focused. Are there some things that have been happening either to date or that you're excited? That something that you've seen so far that you've been excited about, or that you are looking forward to seeing at the rest of the show?
Technology wise, topic wise, kind of interested.
Groups.
Yeah, groups.
I was looking at some of the different CAD programs. I'm not always up to speed with that.
Do you see a migration going into the 3D world in your space? I mean, that's for me. I can see it going from the CAD has kind of been this tried and true, but no more of this Revit kind of inventor model stuff, or
Revit and ArchiCAD. I was looking at Vectorworks.
Yep.
Huge.
Yeah, Vectorworks and ArchiCAD. So I did 2 videos with them, and then another software program. Spacing.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Put it
It's
in your
fine.
show notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll remember it after this.
But I'll be putting that in my blog, all of that, and then
just the technology that you're able to do from a paperless format and then bring it into reality.
Yes.
I mean, how right is that all the time? It's I think for us it's changed our world too, as far as like dealing with a lot of what would be considered 2D design into the 3D world. But just communicating paperlessly, like now I've only gone to a mobile format, in a paperless format. Like printing stuff off is now kind of turned into this archaic mode for me, where like I don't really print a lot of stuff off anymore.
I don't think a lot of the young people, as far as what I've been hearing, is that they have a real hard time getting the younger people to print out any type of
Well,
No,
just
look at
So
my
let's say
screen.
I want to send you a PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just
I'll
send you a
send
PDF.
you a
I'll
I'll send you a
mark up a PDF
Yeah.
and send it over to you. And
Yeah.
that's- So
Yeah.
this is my first year of really trying to jump into that world, and I'm 50-50.
Yeah.
There's something just about mentally, I'm still trapped in the world of flipping back, whether it's a giant stack or whatever. I'm used to flipping back and going and marking with a highlighter and just like,
Yes.
I'm used to this.
I'm totally,
like I'm one of the people who likes to
yeah.
read. If I'm going to read,
Yeah.
I want to read a book and not a Kindle per se or something.
Yes.
I think there's something to be said about it, but I do appreciate the limited, because I've printed off so many things. Oh,
He does. Print it off, check it out, highlight
I
it
feel
back.
terrible about it because
You know.
I don't know if you know this, but in architecture, there isn't just one version of the plans that come out, right?
You mean, wait a minute. They don't just draw it once?
That's what I thought. Turns out that's a no.
Oh,
There could be as many as
light bulb.
infinite numbers. Like even when they
Yes.
get to what's called a 100% CD,
It's
that's
it's
the biggest
not-
lie
That's
ever.
the biggest lie that we're
Yes.
100% done.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but but
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
if you think about it, like how many projects have been. So I like the concept of not printing as much
Mhm.
environmentally, but I still just miss. I just love.
Well, and
Turn and
it
paper.
kind
Oh.
of gives you, and it also gives you that, like, it's kind of a set in stone. It's like I think when people can constantly be updating things get lost in the shuffle, and
For
all
sure.
of a sudden, it's like, oh no, we switched that window. We wanted 4, in the panel doors, we wanted a 4 panel door. No, we went from 6 to 4. It's like there's a lot of different.
Oh, yeah. I know.
For sure, there's also something very
Yeah.
communal and very organic and great about 4 or 5 people humped over a table, just all with their arms on the desk, and you've got a 18 by 24
And then-
plan set, and everybody's just got their fingers
Marking
pointing.
up
It's-
or a trace paper going
Yeah.
over the
it's
top.
so much
waking
easier
at
than
work.
going to this guy's, and he's like, you're like here, and he's like, don't touch my screen.
Yeah.
No, it's over here.
Yeah,
don't seriously,
Don't touch
Sorry,
it.
don't touch my
touch
screen. Right? But
Yeah.
but just to have that organic
Yeah.
group of people, like if you look up architect in like image search, it's going to have a group of 4 or 5
Yes.
people humped
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Very
Very nicely dressed. Way
Very
nice.
nicely dressed.
Yeah.
incredible
Yeah,
beards. If
incredible.
you want to visit edify-studios.com, you'll see at least 3 of those images.
That's very true.
They're always so well dressed, and there's the cleanest hard hat just in the corner,
Right?
just so beautifully yellow. But no, that's the digital's obviously the future of it.
Yes.
But it's sad to say goodbye to some of the great things about the past.
Well,
of it,
I
too.
mean, I always like to see things in real life too. I mean, being able to, looking at any of these windows or doors, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm looking at them right now.
No.
When I'm looking at them on the screen, it's just I'm one of those people that wants to touch things.
Yeah.
I want to touch. I want
No,
to touch
the operation, the
I wanna
sample
move
pieces,
it.
the
Yeah.
textures. I think
Yeah.
that they're very, very important within architecture. I just think that
wildly important.
we miss it a lot with the it looks like it's wood.
Yeah.
Maybe does it feel? It's that overall experience. No, so
or can we have these? Can we have the colors that we want to have? If you're looking at them on a screen, it's the colors still are not the same as real life.
No, it never has the look and feel. Like sometimes I see a rendering and I get it a little bit more because it does
Yeah.
bring a
Yeah.
different vantage to the elevations of like, okay, I can see a little bit of where they're going with intent,
Yeah.
but it still doesn't convey the everything that it'll end up being.
Yeah. And I think another thing is that people just need to get out there and experience architecture and see different things. And
Oh, yeah.
looking
Absolutely.
at something in a book is not going to be enough. Looking at something online on a screen, you're not going to get the same. Your brain is not going to work the same way.
It's not gonna
as looking
associate
at
it,
It's
yeah.
not going to.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what I
And
find.
spatial realization, even with VR and everything
yeah, no,
else. Yeah.
It's still not there. It's amazing to see what they're doing.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that is going to
Yeah.
become something very, very tangible.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something very sad about the buildings that get created and some of the elements that get put on there, because we talk about this all the time. When we walk downtown anywhere, we're always this, right? We're always looking
Always
up
looking
Yeah.
up.
Look up.
because we're
We
trying to
look
see
up.
what's happening, and is it window wall, is it curtain wall, is it some decorative
What's the
element?
facade?
What-
How is actually the terracotta working with the rain screen system? Like all
and
the
you know
different
somebody's
Yeah.
just was losing their mind trying to get these things perfect and exact. And to 90% of the people, they're just like blinders on, walking straight forward, or this, right? My phone.
What's my phone
so
say?
it gets so lost. It gets so, like, those moments get so lost, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think, the social interaction that comes with coming to these shows and being with people and, still meeting people, even though, we always like to, even though we're blogging together and we kind of only know each other virtually at first, and then we come to these shows and then we actually meet the person. And, we are pretty much the same personality that we are online.
Yeah, no, there's only one or two types of humans that exist to go to these shows. And it is the same. It's great to be able to nerd out with people that are like-minded, that have been in the same situation and had the same arguments with the same contractor or the same owner,
absolutely,
over and over again. So, because at dinner parties, I can't talk a lot about what I do because I'm not
your
cop
neighborhood
or a fireman.
Campfire, you mean? You can't sit there and go like, well,
like, what do you do? It's just stuff. Just don't worry about it. Let's talk to Stevie's dad.
Who's the video game designer?
Yeah. He works for.
See what he does.
Yeah, my kid's football coach is a developer for video games like that my kids play, and it's like I lose instantly. I lose every time that battle. They're like, this is my dad. He does work. It doesn't matter. Anyway, back to what you were saying, Coach.
Yeah.
But it's great to just be around so many like-minded people where you can share and you can motivate and elevate and just continue the conversation. We've learned so much.
Yeah, we have
through this because it is still a very segmented world.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like the global connection point isn't quite there yet. Mm-hmm. So there are these little pockets that exist everywhere, and there's a desire to have this conversation, but there just isn't the platforms yet. And I think that we're getting there.
I agree.
But just to be able to learn so much about the dynamics of the different people, to learn so much about the architectural schooling, the licensing, which is its own separate component. Just to learn so much that we don't learn through talking through a design assist process with an architect, because that's just a totally different piece of it. And I think it's important to talk about those things.
Yeah. I encourage people to get licensed. I helped to write the architecture exam for the state of California, and
good for you. That's awesome.
It's definitely an exam that is written by committee. So I'm not saying that it's perfect.
No, but you're donating and actually like giving that expertise back into the exam, which is I think that's actually. It shapes it. I don't know. It gives back to your community that's given so much back to you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But even if it's not the best yet, if it's not as bad as it once was, or if it doesn't have any as many stipulations or things that are so negatively against it, that's powerful.
Yeah,
that's wildly powerful.
Yeah. And, I think it's good for us to get out there with these podcasts, because a lot of people are listening to podcasts now.
Yeah,
and if
absolutely.
we get out, if we promote the field of architecture, the different building materials, so that, people, the general public knows more about architecture.
The accessibility.
And architects, right? Yes.
So, yes. I think that it's really interesting. As we kind of develop this podcast and getting into a lot of platforms and speaking with a lot of the architects across the country. And by the way, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes,
this is
sincerely.
very sweet.
So great.
It actually
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It brings a light where there's actually not a category that's currently listed for architecture on iTunes podcast right now.
Really?
Or construction
or design.
So we actually are actually parked in the education format.
Because there's like education, comedy, self-improvement.
The category of architecture everybody interacts with. It is really every human actually integrates with architecture possible, like every single day,
daily.
And for us not to actually like be talking about it and actually having being not necessarily promoting, but be more understanding that we want to be that mainstream. Yeah. We want to have the accessibility. We want to actually inform the public. We want to hear the public back, and we want to play in that space of allowing those people to interact with the architecture that we get to design, we get to influence, we get to create through manufacturing. We want to speak to that audience. We want to speak to that end user, and so I think the podcast actually brings an opportunity for us, and via social media and via the different interwebs
so to speak.
Yeah.
I think it's time to actually start saying something.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. And I mean, I think everyone benefits from using an architect, even, in the small. There's an architect
Couldn't
for
agree more.
everyone.
I
Yeah.
absolutely
Absolutely.
There's
couldn't
an
agree
architect
more.
for everyone. I think
For
a lot
sure.
of people think that, I have to have millions of dollars in order to hire an architect to design something, but architectural services are very wide and varied. So
Yes.
you could,
Oh yes.
you can retain an architect for not that much or a limited scope of services so that you can get a lot of value for the money of you being able to use an architect.
So much value. So much
Yeah.
value. Well, we sincerely appreciate the time.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
joke.
This has
This
been
was
great.
is a huge deal for us. How we typically end this, and we're going to let you do it, is we just do the Edify top 2. So 2 of your favorite things that are happening right now, whether it's a Netflix show or a song you heard
Or
or
a park
something
down the
you saw with your
street,
kids in Vegas.
What your kids are up to, anything
Whatever.
like that.
2
Like,
things.
2
off the
things.
top of your head.
We
What's
went to
number
the
1?
Waldorf Astoria Sky Bar last night.
Oh.
And yeah.
Swanky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Cool.
That
Waldorf
sounds-
Astoria.
And then-
That
Sky
sounds
bar.
magnificent.
It does
yeah,
sound great.
that
That's
was
very
for
stately.
that was for Sherwin-Williams, and then there wasn't really any food, and then my 18-year-old got kicked out of the bar.
Oh, that will
Even though
happen.
he wasn't, he was drinking Fuji water. He
What?
texted me.
Oh,
I got
that
kicked out of
Fuji
the. I
water.
got kicked out of. Yeah, he's like, I
Ugh.
got kicked out. I get a text. I got kicked out. I'm like, what? And so then we went to the Entre Architect party. That was in a Mexican restaurant next to. We are in Vegas. It's next to
Yes.
a big strip bar.
They
So
have-
when the,
I didn't actually know they had those here.
What are they called again?
I don't know.
That's
like
a
chicken
foreign
strips.
am I allowed to mention any
Oh,
of
for
that?
sure.
Am I
Yeah, I
allowed-
mean,
okay.
we don't want to plug the
Yeah,
strip club.
no, we won't be
Right next to tassels on the strip. No. But yes, it's absolutely, I'll allow it.
So the car, we got a lift over there. The car like pulls up, and there's like this big strip club, and I said to the Lyft driver, I'm like, I don't think we're at the right place, and he goes, no, you said the El Dorado Cantina, and I said, oh, and then I look, and then there's the door, so.
So they could
so
use
we
a
ended up-
a little bit more advertising on the exterior
So
facade.
2 things in Vegas.
Signage
right?
or lighting.
Waldorf Astoria. We went from classy.
I mean, just like
just
royalty.
like swanky. Like I'm throwing the.
I heard Beyonce was there last
Yeah,
night.
all this and then we went to the El Dorado. What was it? Cantina.
The
Cantina.
El Dorado Cantina.
All right. So what did you order? Like, I gotta ask this. What did you order? Or what did you have? the El
It
Dorado
was I had like some type of quesadilla. It was a party, so it was whatever.
The whole-
was
Oh,
on-
gotcha.
it
So
was
just
whatever
kind of
was on the
Yeah.
A
table.
spread of everything.
Yeah,
Got it. All right.
Man, I gotta say, I would stay with the Ask How, Ask Now, Ask Sherwin Williams party.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds way more
But
delightful.
they didn't have any food.
Oh, that
Yeah,
that's
that
the
was
reason why they had to go.
why
That's a
we
hindrance.
had to go.
hence the quesadilla.
So listen, if you're gonna actually hold a social event, make sure you feed the people. All
It's
right.
not a bad idea.
It's not a bad
It's
idea.
not a bad idea.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much. Why don't you give everybody your Instagram
plug.
handle one more time? We would love to, and your
Oh,
blog. That's a big deal for us. Go ahead.
My Instagram handle is Michele Grace Hottel. MiCheLeGracehottel.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
And you can follow us at Edify
Yeah.
_studios. And
Edify_BW.
that's right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Michelle. This has been an awesome conversation. Guys, check out her stuff. Make sure you
Yes.
share her stuff. And
Be part of it.
we'd like to see some of the comments below about that Cal Poly.
Cal
Is that what
Poly,
it was
yes.
below?
Cal
Where's-
Poly San Luis
Where's the
Obispo
real one?
versus
I can't
Cal
just-
Poly Pomona.
I got it.
Yeah.
We're going to get to the bottom of this.
All right.
All right.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Edify Studios podcast with hosts Brad Glauser and Brad Walker. To learn more about Edify Studios, visit www.edify-studios.com. That's www.edify-studios.com.